Kia ora guys, it's Brisingrize here. Yeah, it's me, hello! I haven't done one of these in a long time, just sitting down talking to you guys, because I don't really feel like playing a video game today. Which can happen sometimes when my triggers just play up and I'm stressed about something. Which I am today, of course, because I have to go back to wins once again to justify being sick. But I wanted to do this completely unedited, just me talking to a camera, talking to you guys, because you guys are awesome, and just chatting. So let's chat. For those of you who don't know a lot about me, this is your get to know me random ramblings of a crazy 22-year-old girl. So, my name is Brooke. That is my real name. Yes, it is. It means running water, and since I was young, I've always been very emotive and creative. I have a book that I am working on that people want to be published. So that's hopefully coming out in the near future, which would be fantastic. And I live with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is what I mean by the hashtag living with CPTSD. I say living because it hasn't killed me, and I don't expect it to, but then again, with the way triggers work and my past, it could. So by saying I am living with CPTSD, it means that every day I am fighting to survive. Every day I am working towards my goal of thriving with CPTSD. But right now, living with CPTSD rolls off the tongue much nicer than surviving with CPTSD. And in all honesty, it's a much more positive message, because it's like, hey, this thing isn't ruining her life. Even though, in truth, it does ruin my life. You know, having to live off a benefit isn't fun. Which is why I wanted to start this YouTube channel in the first place, was to just give myself an escape and perhaps find people like me who basically also are struggling with life and living with something that is silent and is not allowed to be talked about. Because when I was a kid growing up, I wasn't allowed to talk about when I was struggling. I wasn't allowed to say, hey, the bullying's really getting to me at school, I can't really cope, I don't really know what to do, can you help me? Because all I got told was the typical Kiwi can-do attitude and bullshit of harden the fuck up, which when you're dealing with a mental illness is the worst thing you can do. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now, do not harden the fuck up when it comes to this. To quote Darth Maul when he's completely going insane in the Clone Wars, he goes, it's what is in here that hurts, and it's true. Living with CPTSD is like having some kind of troll on the video recorder of your life, and they are choosing parts of your life that you didn't enjoy. So in other words, they were showing parts of your life that you were not in a good place. In my case, years of abuse and bullying at school. And because of that, they come back. And it takes a lot for me to just sort of get by, you know. There are days I don't want to get out of bed, but I do because I've got this channel. And I have 45 of you here, and I really hope I get more. Because my ultimate goal is to advocate on mental health rights while also having an absolute blast playing video games and showing you my horse. Fingers crossed. And just enjoying myself, because let's face it, what's life if you can't enjoy yourself, right? I don't have a license, but I have a motorbike that I want to get out on, but then again my fear stops me doing that as well. But you know what, I don't really care. Because I've survived 4 attempts to take my own life, and several more half-hearted ones, we'll say. Ones that were more done in a moment of emotional distress than me really wanting to die. So, they were just half-hearted, that's what I call them, even though people are like, oh my god, you've tried to die that many times, and I'm like, yes, I have. Because life has been very difficult, and life has been a fight. But if there's one thing I'm good at, it's fighting. And that is part of the reason that my YouTube channel means so much to me, because what it means is the spell from Eragon. I don't know if you guys ever read the Inheritance series, but that was one of my favourites growing up, and Brisinga is the spell that lights everything on fire. So, you know, it ignites, so you go Brisinga and then flames. And then, of course, Rise, R-I-Z-E, yes, you pronounce it Brisinga Rise. I know that there's only one R in there, but I just thought I'd set the record clear for you guys, because it can be a bit confusing. Means just a fancy way of saying, rise up, to stand up. So it's fire rising. It is a phoenix metaphor, which is the metaphor for my life. And I just gotta grab a water because my throat's really dry. I apologize. I'm still sick. So that's partly the reason I started it. I wanted to have a place where I could come and talk and discuss my story and basically get some retribution. Because the problem with my story, with what I went through, is that there is no physical evidence. And unfortunately, in New Zealand, that's the only way you can really get retribution for what happened to you. There's no scars on my body. No scars to show when she threw me into a gas heater. No scars to show when she bit me to within an inch of my life and I was lying on the floor thinking I couldn't get back up. When my own mother attacked me relentlessly for 10 years. And I spent half of my life wanting to die because of that. And I've only really just gotten out of it, that feeling of, oh God, I want to die every day. And that is honestly the best thing in the world. But that's partly the reason I started this channel. Because I wanted to prove that I could do this. That my mother's voice inside my head is not going to win when she tells me I'm never going to amount to anything and that I deserve to be dead. Even though that is what she told me, it's not going to be the case. I am going to make it, and I'm going to make it big. Doesn't matter if it's on YouTube, although I'm going to be honest, that would be absolutely fantastic if that was the case, because I've got two heroes I'd really like to meet. Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. I have a lot of plans for writing stories to do with their characters, but I'd rather run it past them first. And they saved my life on more than one occasion. Because when I was down at Taratahi, sorry, another tangent, I do this, I jump. That's how my brain works. That's how CPTSD works. It forces my brain to just bonk. Just go, go, go. After, on and on and on. So I went down to finishing school in Adelaide, and I failed. Because my CPTSD was rearing its ugly head, and back then I was diagnosed with chronic depression and chronic anxiety and told that I was a ticking time bomb and I was going to die. But they just didn't know when. They just said one day it was going to get me. And I remember just sitting there thinking, crap. I finally am in this beautiful place and I'm going to die. And then, of course, Joker inside my head goes, absolutely not, you are not going to die. And then Wolf, my other character, who was with Joker in my stories, and became my motherly side, said, you are not going to die. We are going to do something that no one thinks you can do. And then Brisingrize, who you guys will meet one day, very soon, hopefully. Once this channel kicks up a notch, you'll really get to meet her, because I have so many plans for her in terms of characterization. And what I do best is creating extraordinary characters and stories. And that's not being narcissistic, that's actually true. I have been told this from multiple sources, that I have an incredible story writing voice. And it turns out now I have quite an extraordinary talking voice, and I'm quite articulate. Even though I do have a lisp, and I know I have a lisp, and I'm very insecure about it. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I failed because of that, and I was always thinking about YouTube. It was always in the back of my mind, I want to keep Civil Collador to be an audio drama, and I wanted Mark and Sean to maybe voice two of the characters, and I still do. And if you guys want to read Keepers of Collador, you can down on Inkit, and I'll put this description down below. There's only 13 chapters, because I'm not allowed to put up anymore, because they want me to finish the book. And then I actually have a publisher, who I'm not going to mention, who wants the book, who wants to read it, who wants to see it in its entirety, and then see if it's worth publishing. But even if she doesn't, this person, then there are a couple more publishing houses that have lined up, because there's a lot of interest in KOE. It just hit 655 reads on frickin' Inkit. I always made a joke, hey, wouldn't it be great if it made it to 1,000? And I'm always making a joke about the YouTube channel maybe making it to 1,000. But if it did, I think I would be beside myself, and you'd see me running around and jumping and being crazy. But after I failed Brantford, after I failed finishing college, to get into university to become a paleontologist, because that's what I wanted to do. Still am partly a paleontologist, because it plays into how I write and how I create animals and creatures and how I draw. Because anatomy and understanding the character's behaviour all comes from that. And during that time, I'd started watching Mark and learning to laugh again, which, honestly, I didn't know how to do anymore. I didn't know how to laugh. I didn't know how to smile. I didn't know how to do anything. And he taught me that, and Sean's just precious and needs to be protected at all costs. And the fact that he and Mark have the way of creating like a real mental connection between the camera, where you guys all are, hi, and themselves. And that's really why I wanted to do this video, because I want to show you guys that I'm freaking human. Yes, I'm happy-go-lucky in the videos, and I try to be, because video games make me happy. They really do. That's honestly one of the best memories I have growing up as a kid, was playing video games with my sister, even though we got incredibly competitive and aggressive and yelled multiple rude things at one another and accused each other of cheating, and, you know, as siblings do, you know, you get competitive. We're very close, so you don't have to worry, it's nothing nasty or anything, it's just what we do. And it's sort of where I learnt about stories and how stories could become something more. You know, one of the big ones I want to play is the Arkham series. But back to Mark and Sean, or Mark and Jack. When I got down to Taratahi, I left Adelaide. I went to a place I'd never been before, 8 hours away from Auckland, which is where I grew up. Not far from Wellington, about an hour away from Wellington, over the Rumatakas. Don't do that. It's terrifying. Don't do it. Fucking hell, it's terrifying. Don't go over that road. If you're learning to drive, you will shit your pants. It's terrifying. It scared my dad, and he's been driving for years, so that gives you an idea. And I was bullied down there, you know, because I was different, because I was struggling. I had not grown up on a farm, but I love animals, so there you go. And I eat meat. So I did an equine course down there, and it was a struggle, because I was being teased by the people in it. Not everyone, but, you know, there were a few that kind of liked to make my life a little bit hell. Go figure. And I was literally calling up my dad at night and going, I want to come home. I just want to come home. I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to come home with you. And it wasn't until I sat down and started watching YouTube videos to get my mind off it that Mark and Sean really became a big part of my life, because every time I was ready to quit, every time I was... Don't know if I've still got it. Oh, kind of. I've still got the colouring from where I got thrown off. You know, every time I was ready to quit, every time I was ready to throw in the towel, they were there. I do not know why YouTube clicked on their videos, but it did. It just seemed to know immediately that this is what I needed. I needed my brothers in arms to get me through this. And then as I saw them struggling, I realised that we were so similar. You know, we've all fought extraordinary things. In my case, probably a little bit more, but it's never been a competition, and that never will be. Don't get me wrong, I don't like admitting that, you know, I've had it worse than a lot of other people, even though it's true, because I'm pretty selfless. I put people before myself. I always have. I believe that by being kind, I will get places. I don't want to step on anyone. I don't want to do dumb shit. I don't want to be like Logan Paul or someone like that, you know. I want to be me. And the person that I am is kind and considerate and empathetic and helpful and likes to make a connection with people. In public, it's very hard for me to look people in the eye, so looking at a camera is good practice. And I think that's why YouTube was kind of always going to be part of my life one way or another, because there's a camera. And if I can look at a camera and know that you guys are there, then it really helps my anxiety. But my sister's 21st is coming up, and that's a big thing, because she's been on crutches, she's done all this amazing stuff with her life. Just so you know, I adore her, but I'm so worried about her, and I always will be. Big sister, you know. And she and Mark have decided that that's going to coincide, because Mark's coming over for his big show here in Auckland. And I've always rather stupidly said, God, I'd love to meet him, you know, I want to stand next to him as an equal. I don't want to ride on anyone's coattails to get to that point, you know, I want to do it on my own accord, on my own fighting ability, you know, on my ability to be me. Because the person that I was nearly torn away from all those years of bullying. I had it all through my high school years. You know, I was a shell. And then the abuse didn't help because, you know, you went from school to abuse and then back again and then blah, 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 constantly. And then even when I left, it's still in here, so. And it's in here. And that's where the real scars are. But my dream, honestly, would be to meet Mark when he came here. And then if I have a horse, because he's shown me so much of his world, I want to show him the part of mine that helps me cope. And that is riding horses. And I know he's afraid of horses because he said it a couple of times. And I just want to take him out and I want to introduce him to a thoroughbred. And I want to just go, look, they get judged like you and me. They are told that they are impossible, that they are not calm, that they, you know, will screw you up. But look at this horse and see yourself. Because that's what I see every time I go out on a thoroughbred. You know, they're the ones that no one wants. They get sold for $500. And don't get me wrong, that's great, because that means I can get them. But to think of a horse that did all this hard work to be sold for so little, all because he's a thoroughbred? You know, you even go on like Facebook groups where they sell horses, and I know, another tangent, but it ties back in, where people are actually saying no standard breeds and no thoroughbreds, please, you know. Because there's still the stigma, and there's still the stigma around mental health. And if there's one thing that I'm good at, it's breaking the fucking mold when it comes to that. That's why I'm always so open and honest about it. That's why I always try to stay a bit more positive, but I'm not afraid to bring it down a few notches to sort of talk about what's happening and why I'm struggling. Because I believe that if you can smash that stigma, then things will get better. Because if you can sort of sit down and talk to someone, even if they have not been through what you've been through, right? You can still sympathize in some ways. Especially if perhaps you've been through something similar. Like, yeah, I've been bullied, but maybe not to that extent, but, you know, I totally get what you're going through. And that's really important. And I think if everyone was able to do that, we'd have a much better world. And I think that's why I love thoroughbreds so much, because they don't judge me. You know, Bobby, my horse, who I've talked about a couple of times, and yes, I bought my eyes out about him because I miss him very much. He woke me up again. I was going through life half dead after Taratahi because I broke completely. Too much going on in my head, and then, oh look, you actually have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is why you're this way. Oh cool, so there's actually an explanation for my behaviour. Yes. Unfortunately, it's a very bad thing. You know, but it does prove you're a freaking survivor, and you're one of the strongest people I've met. Which is, you know, kind of a cool thing to be called when you're breaking down more times than frickin' Sienna Miller. But yeah, that's what I'd love to do. Because my goal is to get this YouTube channel to take off. That would be fantastic. Not for myself. Money's nice, don't get me wrong, I'd love to get off the women's benefit. But what I really want to do is to be able to build a community where people can come and not be afraid to talk. You know, not be afraid to make dumb comments, not be afraid to not understand something and then expect to get slammed. I think that if we could create a community where everyone was able to put themselves in other people's shoes, it would be fantastic. Because if I can just save one person like me out there, if I can save one person who is struggling with life, then I think I'd be the happiest girl in the world. But anyway, that's just like my little rant for the day. I will post a video game, I promise. I just didn't really feel like it today. I felt bleh. I guess it's because one stresses me the fuck out every 5 minutes. But yeah, thank you guys for 45 subscribers. It's amazing to think that we are so close to that first milestone of 50. And I know we're going to get better. And I know we're going to get bigger. And I know that this community is going to be incredible. Because you guys are my family. And family comes first for me. Always. So ka titi anō, guys. I'll see you when I next do a video game. See ya!